In what ways does my trailer use, develop, or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? From my research into the horror genre of existing horror movie trailers, I was able to identify many of the conventions and characteristics that are commonly used within them. By using this, I was able to create my own horror movie trailer. I do believe that my horror movie both develops and challenges the conventions of a real horror trailer, and here's why. The location. I've used a setting in the form of a semi-isolated area. This setting helps to follow conventions of a horror movie trailer, as many settings within this genre are set in isolated areas. The rural aspect of my trailer helps to emphasize the conventions of being lost. I've shot many scenes where you can see the characters sprinting through the woods. This woodland setting is a very popular location for many real horror trailers, as it allows for the feeling of isolation to reach the audience within the scene quite effectively. Another reason for why I chose this setting is that these areas are places where you'll rarely encounter any other people. This further emphasizes the fact that the characters are alone and that no one is helping. Sound. Sound is probably the most important part within my trailer and is vital to make a successful, realistic one. Everything within my trailer builds up slowly over time. I've used non-diegetic sound in the form of music, which helps to build up tension, keeping the viewer waiting and anticipating something. This also benefits with keeping the viewer's attention. I used fast and loud non-diegetic music with the intention of making the audience jump, and to be able to more effectively build tension. For non-diegetic sound, I did follow the genre conventions, however I did challenge the use of diegetic sound, as my trailer didn't have many things such as screaming or speech within it. The reason I chose to challenge this convention was because I didn't want my trailer to be overly narratively driven. I personally believe that through doing this, it is common for trailers to spoil the movie that it is promoting. In order to comfortably follow this fast-paced build-up of music, I did refilm some bits, and I believe this was the right call as it helped to follow my trailer's vision more successfully. Lighting. When many people think of the horror genre, it is common to think of a dark scene. With this in mind, I chose to base many of my scenes within a dark area. This was troublesome, as I did encounter some problems such as the camera quality appearing grainy, but I personally in some scenes like this effect, and I feel it suits some parts quite well. I did follow this horror convention of dark lighting, as it is a very successful form of mise-en-scène within the genre. However, I did challenge this in some respects, as some scenes could be seen as quite well lit. This contrast in lighting I feel helps to emphasize the effectiveness of the trailer quite well, and benefits with the build-up of tension through the quick flashes as a form of suspense. When editing my trailer, I did feel some clips were a little too bright though. So to counter this, I used my editing software, which is Adobe Premiere Pro, to darken some of the clips. This helped to increase the fear factor of many of the scenes. Costumes. Costumes can be very important to many genres, and horror is no different. Costumes can easily turn an innocent character into a sinister one. For this reason, I chose to follow the genre conventions and use costumes as a way of making my main villain into an eerie character. Throughout my trailer, you can see glimpses of the antagonist. This was to build up tension and give the character a scary, mysterious atmosphere around him. This was also helped by what he wears, as the costume covered up most of the character, which made him more sinister and he cannot be well identified. However, in some scenes the antagonist can be moderately identifiable, which I would change if I were to do this again. Props. Props are almost always used in horror trailers, and in my trailer it is no different. This form of mise-en-scène is common within almost every genre of trailer, but is most prominent in horror. Props can serve to drive the narrative or become a motif to underscore the themes of the genre. I use props in the form of an axe and a gun. These are both weapons that have strong ties to the subject of murder, which I wanted to clearly express within my trailer. By seeing a certain prop, this can instantly give the audience a clear idea of what type of film it will be. This is the main reason I chose to not challenge nor develop the horror convention, as I believe it is a vital piece in expressing the trailer's intention. Prophetic fallacy. Prophetic fallacy is when you give human emotions and traits to nature or inanimate objects. So in this case, I've used prophetic fallacy in the form of sound effects in order to present how terrified the characters are feeling within the scenes. This is a convention which can be found in all genres of film, so I chose to stick with this convention as I found it to be very effective in expressing my intention of the trailer. In what way does my poster use, develop, or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? There are a huge amount of conventions for film posters, but I'll only be looking at a few of them within this video. The first one being the focal point. In most movie posters, you can see the focal point within the center of the image. However, I've developed this by placing two positions of focus, that being the rope hanging and the man standing on the right side. Within my poster, I have the man looking in the direction of the camera, but if you look closer, you can see the man's eyes looking directly at the audience. This gives an eerie feel to the poster and makes the audience feel uncomfortable. Furthermore, this effect of the character staring at the camera helps create an illusion that as a viewer you are being watched. Within my poster, I did follow the conventions of having my title positioned large, as it can be seen as eye-catching. The main reason behind following this convention is that it can easily give the viewer the name of the movie, which I think is very effective when promoting a film. I also have the release date largely placed above the movie name. Although it is not as big as the movie title, I still believe it pops out quite well due to the contrasting colours I've used. Leading on from colours, this is another convention that is very important in my opinion, in expressing what you're promoting to the viewer. A movie poster should clearly define the film genre. I believe I've done this quite effectively. I feel I've accurately reflected the horror genre through my use of lighting and style of my poster. The way the man fades into the darkness emphasizes a sinister feel, and the overhanging noose, which shares connotations of murder and other dark themes, proves to be very effective in reflecting the genre using symbolism. I've used this as I believe these factors show that my poster is clearly of the horror genre, without having to state it on the poster. In what ways does My Movie Magazine use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media? So this is My Movie Magazine. I decided to name it The Reel, which I believe is an appropriate name for a film-based magazine. The movie, The Hunt, will be the poster article on the front cover of this magazine. Conventions of a magazine include having the following. A main image. The main image usually focuses around the main article in the magazine. In this case, I've used the antagonist from my film The Hunt as the main image. It is most common for main images to be a close-up or medium upper body shot. I have followed this convention as I've used a medium upper body shot image to display my character. On magazine front covers, the standard convention would be to put an image of the main character on the front as the main image. However, I have challenged this, as I have put the antagonist on the front. I got this idea from the film magazine Total Film and decided to implement it into mine. For the main image, it is a common convention for the character to be positioned in front of the text. However, I have changed this and chose to position my character behind the text. This is because I wanted the character to keep his sinister look as he fades into the background and is better highlighted through the genre of the film. The masthead is a big convention within the medium of magazines, and I have followed this convention of having the masthead as a big bold display of text in which presents the name of the magazine. The reason I've done this is so that the name stands out, and when people see the magazine they instantly know what magazine it is. I did stray a little from the standard conventions as I did not include a plug. The reason I chose to not include a plug is that I thought they would make the magazine front cover less sinister and it would take away from the atmosphere. I do believe that challenging this convention benefited my magazine since my trailer looks more serious. Another big convention is having cover lines positioned to the right and the left of the front cover. I chose to follow this convention as I believe it is something so common in magazines of a similar genre, and I felt that changing it may take away from the fact that it is a film magazine and could potentially look like a fashion magazine instead, which I don't want.